So welcome, everybody. My name is Alan Higgins. I am the Health Equity Network lead, and this is our webinar today on a new role for banking, delivering better public health. Before we go much further, I just want to introduce Ben Viles. Do you want to say hello, Ben?
Hello, everyone. I'm the Health Equity Coordinator. I often work with Alison, who I'm sure many of you will have interacted with. Yeah, I'll be here today to help with any technical issues and any other questions.
Excellent. And this theme is one that I've been interested in for quite some time. And I'm delighted that we're able to run a webinar on it today. And we have two excellent speakers. And we have Jeff Payne, qualified accountant, got an MBA, founder of the Community Junction Project, which is a concept which can regenerate town centres and high streets, making financial inclusion, affordable finance available to all, and improving public health outcomes. And even of more significance than that, Jeff was once manager of Swansea City Football Club, and that could well be the subject of a different webinar.
Where we're practically at home all the time because the offices were all closed, and then
hello, if someone could just go on mute on their mic.
I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, I forgot.
Sorry, I've muted them.
Yeah, that sounded so interesting. And after we've heard from Jeff, then we'll hear from Olga Bioska, who is Professor of Economics at the Eunice Centre for Social Business and Health at Glasgow Caledonian University. And Olga leads on Economics of Health and Wellbeing Research Group. Work mainly focused on exploring the connection between how vulnerable individuals manage their money, including use of affordable credit and their health and well-being. So again, excellent subject to speak about. So if you haven't been on this before, then the way this runs, and if you have, you'll be very familiar, is that we'll hear from Jeff for around 10 minutes. We'll then hear from Olga for around 10 minutes. And then it's open for people to ask questions and make comments. And like I say, we will wrap up by 1:30 to make sure that you all get some time for lunch as well. So if that's okay with everybody, I will invite Jeff to begin, and I'll go on mute. And go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Alan, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks very much for coming along this afternoon. With the help of some slides, here they are, and a bit of entertaining video, I'm going to tell you about Community Junction's modest beginnings as an informal examination of the effects of bank branch closures and how it has been transformed over time into a project capable of achieving these objectives. The wholly negative impact of bank branch closure is well documented and felt mostly in deprived areas, the former industrial heartlands. In the last 100 years, high streets have been transformed from that into what so many of them are these days. Bank branch closure is not the only cause of decline, of course, but has certainly driven the nail more firmly into its coffin. There are now 1,500 towns without a single bank branch and another 1,000 down to last branch status. But just contrast these dismal showings with the wholly positive outcomes reported by the Bendigo Bank of Adelaide in Australia, achieved through its branch opening program, delivered via its community bank model, and which now comprises 324 branches across Australia. Now, this little video, which I hope Ben is going to show us, is an example of what a typical Bendigo branch has done for a community.
Alrighty, what your business actually does.
Oh, they had a ball. Yeah, it was their birthday yesterday too.
Oh, I've just got a comment that came up, Carol. That's got here. It looks like you've built a lot of change from banking with us. Do you want to see the change? Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, get it.
Carol? Yeah? Can you just pop out for a sec?
Yeah. Oh my God.
thank you for your support to the Norfolk Park Football and Netball Club. 6 years, $60,000. Thank you.
That is amazing.
Really, you've helped us in maintaining our record of no lives lost between the flags.
We've been lucky enough to receive $40,000 or $50,000 in the community grants, and it's made the club really what it is today.
We work with local high school students, and we can't do it without the support of the bank, and we can't do it without the support of you. So thank you.
They've sponsored us for around about $150,000.
Wow.
Thank you for banking at Bendigo Bank. Your support helps me to play netball with my friends.
They actually donated a lot of money towards the skate park, and just on behalf of all riders in Mackay Serena, young and old, thank you.
I'm here to thank you on behalf of the Serena Men's Shed. You are supporting us. Without the community bank, who's given us upwards of $80,000, we've probably stopped at least 5 suicides, and we keep a lot of men out of hospital.
Oh, my name's Paul.
Yeah.
The Bendigo Bank at Bunyip supplied a defib machine to the golf course. I died playing golf, and the defib machine was put in use and saved my life. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, to actually hear the stories, I guess it is quite touching to know that banking does make a difference.
And to be able to be part of such a good community, it goes a long way, doesn't it? It goes a long way.
Giving back to you guys makes me really happy. Just knowing that money going towards a community, there's nothing more rewarding than that.
And this slide, which I hope you all can see, shows the sort of revenues and profits which even the smallest of branches in Australia can deliver. The town of Cummins in South Australia has a population of around 1,000. Its financial report for the year 2023 showed gross revenues expressed in sterling terms of about £1.5 million and a net profit of 800-something thousand pounds. Of that profit, it distributed to support local community projects almost £600,000, and since the branch opened in the year 2000, it's distributed profits of £2,750,000, at the same time attracting almost 3 times that sum by way of match-funded grants from state and federal government. The magic ingredients for success in Australia: ownership and the right to retain and distribute profits, but only to support local worthwhile initiatives. It's a concept born out by a speech made by Ronald Reagan back in 1974 when he was governor of California. There's no greater incentive for people to buy from a business other than the fact that they own it. This slide shows the Bendigo Bank philosophy. You do your banking with your local branch, and the community gets the branch profits, decides what to do to support local projects, and good things happen in your community. The improved health outcomes reported in the Bendigo analysis are borne out by independent research carried out by health professionals associated with the Royal Society of Public Health, which showed a close relationship between vibrant high streets, financial inclusion, and improved public health outcomes. However, in this country, simply opening a bank branch in a traditional format is likely to produce no impact whatsoever, because people's habits have changed. They now have out-of-shopping malls, which are more convenient, there's easier parking and so on. They have online shopping and they have online banking, as well as home deliveries. That's, if our project is to be successful, the need for change from traditional formats, the provision of opportunity for enterprise, for startups, for pop-ups, the incorporation of other products and services, of meeting spaces, of interesting, exciting events and activities, enjoying the fruits of local crafts, culture, and products, and some entertainment. And the result is a community dividend, playing a part in regeneration of facilities and amenities and helping the disadvantaged, the lonely, the elderly, the vulnerable and the disabled. The proof of the pudding, of course, is always in the eating. And since this sort of concept has never been rolled out across the United Kingdom, it's been very difficult to find an appropriate model. Luckily, we found one not too far away from where I live, in a village called Llanmaddock in North Gower, near Swansea. Back in 2005, the village, which had a population of about 500, experienced the closure of its last shop, which also incorporated a small post office. The consequence was that people had to make a round trip of 30 or 40 miles if they wanted to pay money into their bank account or draw money out, or to buy foreign currency, or to buy insurance products. A wily old character in the village called Randolph Jenkins saw what might have been a selfish opportunity for himself. He had a disused barn at the back of his property, and he offered the barn to the local community to open its shop. He insisted, however, that the local community pay for renovation, installations, etc. And the community did this by forming a community interest company and raising the necessary money to pay Randolph off. The intention was that the products would incorporate basic essentials like bread, milk, toilet rolls, and also some limited financial services through a small post office desk. Within little time, villagers saw an opportunity to use the shop as a distribution point for their own pastimes, interests, experiences, know-how, and suddenly the shop found itself filled with fresh fruit and vegetables from people's gardens, with sandwiches and cakes made at home and delivered, with local crafts, flower arrangements, basket weaving, photography, art, and more. More than 20 micro businesses were set up in the first year of operation. One of those businesses has become so successful that it's now exporting its products to Europe and the USA. 2012 saw the building outlived. It could no accommodate the number of visitors and demand which could be generated. So with a grant from the Welsh government, it acquired a plot of land and on it built a new purpose-built erection capable of supplying the demand which had been generated. Today, the village is thriving and vibrant. There's better health, there's an extended product range in the shop, visitors attracted nationwide, and all sorts of community projects are supported. We now have to move from theory to reality. Since the outset, we've enjoyed enormous support, encouragement, and experience from senior officials at Bendigo Bank. They've supplied us with examples of the programs they've applied to determine levels of interest, engagement, and commitment, programs which are low cost and low risk, and which include attracting local government support of various kinds, and the formation of a steering committee comprising local prominent individuals in the first place. With those facilities in place, we would then move on to licensing and rollout, the completion of a business plan, obtaining necessary FCA authorization, and we're at advanced stage of discussions with the FCA, attracting seek funding and completing the funding program, followed by nationwide rollout. And eventually, we hope that all these things will lead to the promised land, place and community regeneration, full banking and financial services, and a series of social and economic dividends, increased prosperity, reduced poverty, less antisocial behavior, cradles of ideas and innovation, which research has shown vibrant high streets provide, and of course, in all of our interests here today, improved health outcomes. To summarize, towns where bank branch closure has been most prevalent, as I've said, are mostly found in deprived regions, the former industrial heartlands. They represent the focus of both Community Junctions and HEN's activities. HEN members offer a multitude of services, solutions, and innovations, but reach and engagement with the 30 to 35 million people living in these towns has to be an issue. A network of reconfigured branches daily full of locals and visitors provides a solution to this perceived problem. Branches could communicate HEN offerings through a variety of channels: audio, video, social media, website, PR. Thus, there seems considerable merit in collaborating, joining forces. How would this collaboration kick off? Well, HEN members, and there are some 5,000 of them now, I understand, between them are likely to have a few hundred thousand connections and followers. Those connections in turn are likely to have followers and connections which might reach into the millions. Simple proposal of what I would hope we might achieve as a result of these and ongoing discussions today is that HEN members, through invitation, will message their connections with a simple questionnaire approved by HEN administrators, asking whether they will support the Community Junction initiative. Positive comments from those who have attended today would be very helpful in this regard. Positive responses from the entire population I'm talking of will, of course, facilitate a large-scale, low-risk rollout, and the end result will be shared objectives achieved in double-quick time. Well, that's the end of my little presentation. Obviously, well, I hope there'll be some questions and comments later, but now I'll hand over to Olga, who will tell us about her work at the Eunice Institute at Glasgow Caledonia University. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can see the slides. Can you see the slides? Thank you, Alan.
You're on mute, Olga.
I am on mute. Yes, I am. Why? Hang on a minute. I'm not able to get the slides to move now. Okay. So hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm coming from the Eunice Centre for Social Business and Health. And this center was set up by two health economists. Well, one health economist, Professor Cam Donaldson, and now is directed by another health economist, who's Professor Rachel Baker. And the objective of the center for 14 years now, it's been to actually link social business, social enterprise, community development initiatives to health and well-being, right? So connecting, considering these initiatives as public health interventions. There's three streams of research in the center, and what I'm going to present today, which is about mostly financial inclusion, is in the economics of health and well-being theme. The idea is to connect, so the framework that we've usually used in the center to connect these initiatives between, social business, social enterprise, community-based initiatives, etc., to health and well-being, health outcomes, is basically through the social determinants of health. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about one of our big research programs. We've been in it for the last 10 years. It started being a microcredit and health program. It's now a financial inclusion and health program. So it's got wider and broader. It's grown arms and legs. And so sometimes it's difficult to know what microcredit is. So I'm going to pick on Jeff's community bank. And remember when they were talking about financial inclusion, right? So financial inclusion being one of the ways that can make people achieve better health outcomes. So microcredit is a tiny loan, short-term, that is delivered to people who actually are out of the mainstream commercial financial banks. So commercial banks don't want to serve them. And there's these community development financial institutions. I've seen that one of you in the audience runs one, so hello, get in touch. And these community development finance institutions give loans to people who are excluded from the mainstream for the various reasons, usually because they don't have a credit history or because the credit history isn't very good. There are other reasons though. So through the social determinants, we've done a lot of work on this, a lot of preparatory work until funders believed in us, because it's very interdisciplinary work. I am not a health economist myself, I'm an economist, but in the center we have anthropologists, we have other types of social scientists, and it's kind of difficult to link these social interventions with more, clinical health outcomes, if you want, so if you could take it to the other sphere. So we started thinking about what could be the main social determinants of health that could kind of act as intermediate outcomes. We have microcredit for business, usually is for self-employment, and that generates an impact on income as well. So we kind of focused on income and employment as arguably one of the most important social determinants of health, and from there to health outcomes. However, when we discuss income, there is this big evidence, body of evidence, and some of you might be acquainted with, about, there's randomized controlled trials on the impact of microcredit and poverty, and income. And the evidence actually is mixed. And there are a lot of studies that say, well, it doesn't actually increase income. But what I want to say here is that what we've discovered during these years, it's not only about increases in income, it's actually about smoothing income, stabilizing income. That is really, really important. We do that every day, but we have access to our mainstream banking, so we can get mortgages, we can get, short-term loans that are not extortionate, like 1,700% APR that it's being offered in the UK at the moment. So so we thought, right, it's about income, but not only income increase, income stabilization. So this is, the different projects that we've had, always linking this microcredit of financial inclusion interventions to health outcomes. If you see our first funders, the Chief Scientist Office in Scotland and Guy's and St Thomas Charity, which is now Impact on Urban Health, those two were health funders, fundamentally health funders. So they helped us a lot in setting up the scene and working with people who had perhaps worse health outcomes at the beginning and finding our way to develop the pathways. We're very grateful to our funders, but we're also immensely grateful to our partners, which did not fit one slide because it's been many, many years of partnering. But, we've partnered with community development finance institutions such as Fair Finance, Scott Cash, financial service providers, Citizens Advice, Money Advice Scotland. We've partnered with think tanks like Money and Mental Health, and a lot of community organizations, community-based organizations that very much along the lines of what Jeff has been describing, without the banking component, but creating all that good vibes, if you want, within the community, very place-based and local projects have helped us a lot in our way, in a better understanding our results, and also in developing policy that helps towards creating or towards seeing these kind of interventions, financial inclusion interventions, as perhaps non-obvious public health interventions. We've done this through an innovative methodology. We've used something called financial diaries. Financial diaries are no more, no less than a list of financial transactions. So we have all the incomings and outgoings of our research participants for 6 to 9 months, 10 months has been our maximum. And every 2 weeks or every month, we would chat to them. So on the basis of the transactions that we could see, we would chat to them about their financial behavior. Why have they started or got this affordable loan? Why have they got this insurance product? And also about the ups and downs, if there were any life events and how they coped with that. Because what credit is a very important way of coping with life events. You have a kid, you break up, your relationship breaks up, you lose your job. So there's many things that happen, and credit provides an excellent way of smoothing your income during those crisis times. We've done it in Glasgow, in London, in Birmingham, and now we are partnering with Nest inside, that's pretty much across the UK. We've conducted more than 1,000 diary interviews, and we have big databases full of transactions from all our participants throughout the months that they stay with us. And what we can say is fairly confidently as well by now is that, we always, or there is this prejudice that low income people cannot manage their money, and that's why they remain in low income. But actually, when people don't have choice, it's very difficult to manage income. So of all our research participants, nobody that we've met has ever told us that they didn't know what they were doing with the money. All of them knew what they were doing with the money. All of them had excellent, very complex and sophisticated rationales for the coping mechanisms they chose, being a short-term high-cost credit or be it something else. And yes, it was perhaps not the best product, but hey, it was the only choice that had available at that moment. So for some people, for the people who are financially excluded, it's not as easy as it would be for the rest of us. We've also found that the community plays a really important role. So the financial, the coping mechanisms in particular rely strongly on social capital, on friends, family, community, community-based organizations. So they were, like lifesavers, particularly during COVID, for example. Those networks were incredibly important, very place-based and very local solutions, which is a bit of what Jeff was talking about before. And okay, so we have imagined this microcredit. We found a way of linking it with health, perhaps not to super improve health, but definitely to preserve it, because other forms of debt can cause stress and anxiety and mental health issues, as you can imagine. So microcredit is definitely, financial inclusion is important and should be considered, in our view, as a public health initiative. But CDFI, so community development finance institutions, are slowly disappearing from the UK as well. So we think this needs to be reversed. And I'll leave it here and just have a nice Q&A. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Olga. And so two excellent presentations. If you want to stop sharing, Olga, then we'll just have everyone back on screen. And so thanks, Jeff, very much for setting us off there with an excellent video from Australia, by the way, as well. And really good case study from that town in South Wales as well. Really excellent to hear that. And then Olga, thanks too for giving that theoretical link into sort of determinants of health. Really interesting the way that you reframed how people on low incomes manage their income, manage their finances. It's something which I think struck me that maybe I've been thinking that way as well, but thinking of the way that you do, that there is a rationale, but a lack of choice perhaps. So excellent. And there's been a couple of points made in the chat, which I'm going to come to in a moment. But I also invite everyone, I neglected one of my duties, which was to invite you just to register who you are in the chat. That is off there, so please do the same if you can. And also welcome to the people whose webinar this is the first time that we're doing this. So please do raise your hand through the facility on Teams if you want to ask a question. But first of all, I'm going to go to Lisa from Leeds, who posted very interestingly about similar work that she's been doing. Lisa, would you like to come on and tell us about your experience? You're on mute at the minute, Lisa.
How about that? Is that better?
Perfect, perfect.
Great. I actually met, is it Clemmy and Mike from the UNIS Centre? But it was back in 2018 when I was doing the feasibility study. So it's definitely that I get back into this orbit, definitely. So this has been a perfect re-entry into this kind of arena. So thank you very much. Yeah, so we decided that we would go very local and set up our CDFI alongside the self-reliant group model, which I'm sure Olga's aware of, and perhaps Jeff as well. And one of the biggest barriers to get going, Jeff, was the Financial Conduct Authority. And one of the reasons why we want to free share or social franchise what we've done is that in the last 5 years, the FCA has changed so much in terms of how it registers CDFIs, and the process is well, it took us 2 years basically. And so I thought if I can go through that process with the help of an actually Cardiff-based solicitor, Jeff, I could introduce you if you like, then at least I wouldn't want to put trust leads in a position of experts or advisors, but as sharers of the experience, so that other people can replicate what we're doing in their communities. So that's our growth strategy, but we actually need to get lending. So we've done 5 microloans now, and about 20 to our members. 20 to our members were all under £100, and they've all been repaid back. And the 5 to other very kitchen table entrepreneurs, we're very, the Charity Commission was very strict with us, as are we, in that our borrowers have to be facing financial exclusion and poverty. So that's quite a small target group, really, but we believe that there are enough of those people in Leeds and across West Yorkshire to be able to run a very modest microfinance programme that is based around trust and specifically helping people who are financially excluded. I'm at that stage where I'm trying to find a kind of way of saying to people, how financially fucked are you? Because we can only lend to people if they've got really poor credit history and if they're facing massive challenges. And that's actually, as a white middle class woman, finding it quite squirmy to ask those kind of questions. But I'm getting better at understanding that. And I just want to really endorse what Olga said. Our members, 300 or so members in our self-reliant groups, and of which 85 are in RB or in BOSS, setting up their own little social enterprises or businesses. They manage their money. They do manage their money. And I think that word manage is a really important one to be using. So I'm just really glad to be here, and thank you very much. And I shall get in touch individually or anybody. It's Trust to Leeds, easy to find on the web.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Alan, can I comment on that?
Yeah.
Getting authorization from the FCA, of course, is one of the most difficult tasks one could ever contemplate. Several years ago, we considered applying for a UK banking license, but the time taken, the uncertainty, and the costs involved, anything from £5 to £20 million, with no guarantee of success, really is off-putting. But there are other ways of getting authorization, and the one that we've been following is by acquiring access to a banking as a service platform of an existing licensed bank. There are a number of banks who do this. Some form of authorization is required, and we're in discussions with the FCA at the moment to determine precisely what that level of authorization might be. They don't know, we don't know until our formal application goes in. The second point I'd like to make is this: in terms of microcredit and lending to people with poor credit history, with no income, no capital, is very, very difficult under FCA rules. However, one of the thoughts we've had, and this is something I intend discussing with Olga when we next speak, the sort of profits which a community junction branch might make will, of course, be free to the local community and outside FCA control. At least we hope so. And there would be nothing, I imagine, to prevent an allocation of profits from, an allocation of money from any profits earned being used to provide financial support to those who otherwise would find enormous problems in getting credit or access to finance.
Thanks, Jeff. Olga, would you like to say anything in response to Lisa or Jeff's query as well? No? Okay. Well, excellent. Just before I move on, I'm going to invite Grace to ask a question in a minute. Ben, can I just check, is Olga still on Spotlight? Is that why? Or is it just me that's got a screen which is...
No, yeah, so I think Olga might be still sharing something from her screen, but I've taken her off Spotlight.
Sharing anything. Take over, please.
I can spotlight, Alan, I can spotlight you if you want, but then...
don't worry, we can carry on. I just thought it was a...
No, I can see what you mean, but for me it's still just as a grid, so hopefully it's...
Oh, it's fine. It's as a grid for most people. That's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
Grace, you asked an interesting question, and I know that you followed up with another point for Lisa as well, but would you like to go back to the question about investment on social return evaluations?
Yeah, absolutely. And also it's showing a spotlight for me as well. So I don't know whether it's doing it for some other people, but not that it matters too much. But yeah, Jeff, it was really interesting to hear about the case studies that you've drawn on, and also that this is taking off in the UK as well. And I was just thinking about how I would bring something like this to policy folk that I work with in mayoral city regions, and that I know that they would be keen to understand the return on the economic return on investment and the social return on investment in investing in these community-led banking initiatives. And I just wondered if you'd come across any evaluations that have taken place, or any plans for these kinds of evaluations to help us make the case for these kinds of initiatives.
Well, the short answer to that is, the short honest answer to that is no, but we are involved in discussions with a number of local authorities at the present time, where we hope to persuade them to become a test bed for a short series of pilots, so we could determine levels of interest and uptake before rolling out the project nationally, and also providing people with evidence of the uptake and what might be possible.